I'm a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Blackbelt. Leave me alone. What are you sick on? Don't break it up.
For the record, for my own information, I just arrived here from the United States this morning. My name is Chris Bower. As I exited my hotel, this gentleman started to follow me around. He was getting very close to me, threatening me.
Yes, because I knew that
he was telling me he was going to take my money for his son because he needed money for his son. And I told him I was not going to give him any money. I asked numerous people throughout the city to call the police and help me. Many people failed. I also have that on video. I entered this store for my own safety. When I entered the store, I asked the staff to call the police. Then this man proceeded to attack me. I took his back, I choked him unconscious, and now I have him in the full mount position waiting for the police to arrive. Thank you, sir. And here comes the police now.
Hey guys, Rob here with McDojoLife, and the man you just got done watching give out the most polite ass whooping I've ever seen in my life goes by the name of Chris Bower. And in case you missed it, he's a Jiu-Jitsu black belt.
I'm a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. Leave me alone.
Recently, that video footage has gone viral with over 3 million views on YouTube alone. Unfortunately, that video was very short, and it left a lot of people with a lot of questions, and even left some people speculating whether or not the video was even real at all. So I decided to reach out to Chris himself and have a conversation with him about this incident. Here's what he had to say.
My name is Chris Bower. I'm the owner of Bower House MMA in Frederick, Maryland. I'm a third-degree Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt and a wrestler. I was awarded my black belt by Vicente Jr., who is a fifth-degree black belt under Master Ricardo De La Hiva. I've been busy this year, traveling the world nonstop, competing, man.
So you traveling, I guess that's kind of what you were doing during that video, right? You were traveling for a tournament?
Yeah, so AJP Tour just had the New Zealand National Championships. I went out there just to get some more points towards my world ranking. So it was a very quick trip for me. I ended up leaving on Wednesday here, Eastern time in the United States. And they're 16 hours ahead, so I didn't arrive there until, I want to say, maybe 5:30 in the morning on their Friday.
You get to where you're going. Walk me through the day.
So I just took a taxi to my hotel, checked in. I was pretty damn tired. I think I took a shower real quick, and then I took like maybe an hour nap. I went to eat breakfast at the hotel, had some breakfast, and then I walked up to the hotel receptionist, and I asked the girl, I said, "Hey, just arrived here from the United States, so I want to walk around the city because it's like one of my favorite things to do. Any new city I go to, I just walk, man. I'll put in 10, 15 miles a day, just walking, trying to see as much as I can." And she told me to go down towards the harbor. She said it's really beautiful there. There's a lot of restaurants, and it was real close to my hotel. I was staying in the central business district in Auckland, and I think it was maybe 0.3 miles away, so pretty close. Walked down towards the harbor, and yeah, literally as soon as I got there, I pulled out my phone, kind of like, I wasn't probably being, too aware. I've traveled all over the world, man. I've been to Brazil 30 times, and I've only had one instance in Brazil where someone tried to rob my phone. In Brazil, it's crazy dangerous, and New Zealand is like the safest, one of the safest countries in the world, or supposed to be. But I was being, probably not very situationally aware, to be honest with you. I pulled out my phone, and I was like, excited to be there. I just got there in a new country, new city. Pulled out my phone, was taking videos and pictures of the harbor, and just as I did, man, it's almost like my guard wasn't up because I had my phone out, wasn't paying attention. This weirdo ran up behind me, literally behind me. He was in my space, in my ear, right behind me. He's like, "Give me your fucking money." And I turned around faster than you can imagine. It freaked me out so bad, man, because as soon as I turned around, I instantly knew that I was dealing with some deranged lunatic. You could see that he was completely gone. And then he repeated it again. He said, "Give me your money." I said, "No, man, I'm not giving you my money." I was like, "Stay the back, man." I was like, "You need to stay the away from me." I didn't know if he had a knife. That was like my biggest fear. You could tell instantly that this guy was completely disheveled. He looked like he had been sleeping on the streets. He looked like, I didn't know whether he was out of his mind, like mentally, or whether he was under the influence of heavy amount of drugs, or both. It could have been both. But he's one of those guys, if you saw him in a room full of people, 100 people, you would pick him out instantly because you knew something was instantly wrong. As soon as he ran up behind me, I turned around, I freaked out, and my heart started racing immediately because I turned around and I saw him, and I knew something was wrong right away. And I started backing up to create space and separation from him. And I was walking backwards, and I told him to stay the back. I said, "You get any closer, we're going to have some problems." And he started grunting at me and screaming at me. And I'm not sure if you've ever seen a bear charge a human, how they kind of like mock charge, or, like a gorilla. He kept doing that to me. So I wasn't sure whether he was going to attack me or not. So I started walking backwards, and then I pulled out my phone, and I recorded 2 quick recordings. I wish I would have got more, but I recorded videos of him starting to pursue me.
This creepy mother right here in the video, he's following me all over town. Just in case something happens to me, he's very strange.
I did it for my own safety because I got the feeling something was really wrong here. I started to walk further along the harbor. Gorgeous, man. It was like one of the most beautiful places. So pretty, so clean. It didn't look like a place where any crime would happen. I noticed him he was starting to follow me. And then I started to pick up my pace. I started to jog. He started to jog. So I knew he was chasing me. I immediately saw a few passersby on the walkway, right on the harbor. It's this gorgeous, like almost like boardwalk walkway type thing. And I started telling people, I said, "Hey, this guy's chasing me. He just demanded my money. He's telling me I need to give him my money for his son." I was like, "Somebody please call the police." And people were like, they were like dead to the world, man. The best way I can explain it, no one seemed to want bothered with their day. They didn't want to stop from their normal routine. They didn't want to stop on their way to work. They just didn't want bothered. And then I rounded a corner. As I rounded a corner, I got up to the main street. I'm like, okay, I need to find my way to the main street because there wasn't that many people on this walkway. It was kind of quiet, man. It was early in the morning. I would say maybe it was 9 a.m. on a Friday morning. So it was quiet, man. And then I'm like, I got to make my way up to the main street because this guy's chasing after me. Like I said, my biggest fear was he had a knife. And I'm like, dude, I'm in a foreign country, man. I don't want to get involved with like the police. I don't want any trouble, man. I was like trying to run away from trouble. You know what I mean? So I ran up onto the streets thinking it might be a good idea, where businesses and people were. So I get up to the streets, and the first thing I see is a hotel. I'm like, man, okay, cool. I'm running towards the hotel. That dude started sprinting towards me, towards the hotel. Once I got to the hotel, I noticed a bunch of like taxi drivers and hotel concierge out front. I told him what was happening. I was like, "Hey, this lunatic's chasing me through the streets. He's demanding that I give him my money." I was like, "I need someone to call the police." I said, this is something's really wrong here. It's like, this guy, something's really wrong with him. And again, everybody just avoided me. It's like, I remember one guy specifically said, he's like, "Hey, man," he's like, "there are no police around here." I'm like, "What do you mean there's no police around here?" I was like, "There's got to be a police station or can you please call the police for me?" And he's like, "Man, I'm busy right now." He's like, "I'm working." Like he was like driving a taxi. So I was like, holy shit. And right then the guy starts chasing me around parked cars at the hotel. And then I'm like, holy shit, no one's going to help me, man. And the guy's like, he's like, "Hey, man, just look for a guy in a yellow jacket. The guy's in the yellow jacket walking around the streets of the police. So sure enough, when I was at the hotel, I'm like, oh shit, these guys aren't going to help me. I saw a guy down the street in a yellow jacket. And I'm like, oh shit, that's got to be a cop. So I ran from the hotel down towards, it looked like a bus station. I thought it was a cop. I was hoping it was a cop. There was this small Asian guy. He couldn't have been more than 5'2", just tiny little Asian guy. He had his door open in the van, and I ran up to him thinking he might be a cop. I'm like, sir, are you police? I need your help. I was like, this man is chasing me. And he's like, no understand English. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me, man. The guy that was chasing me ran up on me. My back was to the van, and the Asian guy had the van door open. And I'm trying to talk to him. I'm like, please. I was like, call the police. I need help. You think like help and police are like universal words, but this guy, he's like, no, sorry, no English. And I'm like, come on, man, this is crazy. I looked at him, dude. He was so terrified by the look on the guy's face that was trying to attack me, because he knew immediately too, something was very wrong. I mean, you just take one look at this guy and you're like, holy shit. This guy looked terrified, the Asian guy. I'm like, he's not going to help me. So I looked across the street and I saw a coffee shop, and I'm like, holy shit, man. I'm thinking immediately, I got to run into this coffee shop. There's probably cameras and there's probably people. I need those two things. I need a witness, because I don't think I can run from this guy anymore. Like I've ran far enough. No one's helped me. So sure enough, I ran through it was like landscaping, but there was bushes there, and I ran through the bushes to try to get away from him. And the guy kind of lost me for a second. He thought I was like ran around the van or something, I think. So I ran to the coffee shop. As soon as I ran into the coffee shop, I had kind of a small lead on him, because he was kind of looking for me. He lost me when I ran through the bushes. I ran up to the register, the girl at the register, and I was kind of breathing heavy, kind of freaking out, like my adrenaline started pumping. I'm like, holy shit, man. Now I was like, when I ran into her, I'm like, listen, this guy is chasing me. He's demanding my money. I said, there's something seriously wrong with him. I said, I've asked 20 people so far to call for police to help me, and no one was helped me. And this girl looked at me and she was like, oh my God. She was like, she picked up the phone. And as soon as she picked up the phone to call the police, the fucking guy, he started running towards the coffee shop. And I said, holy shit. And she saw it too. And she's like, oh my God. He ran up to the coffee shop, and it was this large open doorway. Like the doors were open. And he was standing in the doorway, and he looked at me, and he put his arms out, and he just goes, ah, ah, ah. He starts grunting at me, and holy shit, the whole coffee shop stopped, because you could tell there was this psychopath in the coffee shop, and it was like this fancy high-end coffee shop, and it was nothing but rich-looking business people in business attire, and the guy charges at me full speed and swings at me. And as soon as he does, I did a level change, and I blast doubled him right in the chest, and I took him right to the ground. And as soon as I did, I secured top side control, and the guy was growling and freaking the fuck out, man. And he was just babbling this nonsense. The strength from that guy, let me tell you, I told everybody I was impressed. I always imagined that's what it would be like to try to fight somebody on PCP. So he turns to his knees, and that's when I took his back and I locked up a body triangle. When I did, I remember not everything was caught on video. I only have a small bit of video. Everything's caught on closed caption TV. Thank God. That's one of the reasons why I went in there, but they won't give me that footage. Because I want the footage of my double leg takedown, but they won't share it with me. They said they don't want it to get out there. They don't want it to harm the coffee shop or whatever. Like, they don't want people to be afraid. You know what I mean? There was people trying to separate me, not just the one guy in the video. There was a couple guys that were trying to separate. I kept telling them repeatedly, maybe 3 to 4 times. I remember telling them, I basically told them to stop. I said, I'm a trained professional. I'm a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. I do this for a living. I have the situation under control. I don't know if they understood or what, but you could see how clueless they were, like trying to like help me or anything. But that was my biggest fear, man. Them like separating me from that guy, giving him any space whatsoever. That guy would have mauled someone to death in that coffee shop. But as soon as I secured his back, I grabbed his flannel jacket. Matter of fact, I just taught the same choke in my Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu class to my students like 2 weeks before I competed. Inserted my thumb deep into the lapel up by his flannel, actually, not the lapel, but I had my thumb way up by his ear, and then my other arm went behind the back of his neck to create the choke. So I had the body triangle, and then I locked up the choke, and I told everybody, because the guy wasn't going to stop, man. I'm like, man, I don't know. What am I going to do? Break his arm? I don't want to hurt the guy. I don't want to punch him. I don't want to kick him because, like I said, I'm in a foreign country. I don't know the laws, man. You don't want to get arrested anywhere in foreign countries. So I feel like I did everything to avoid the conflict. And then he was so powerful on the ground that I'm like, man, the best way I could take care of this guy is just like choke him out. So I choked him out cold, and I waited till he went to sleep. I wish I had that on video too. For some reason, the guy stopped recording, or maybe he just didn't send it to me. But I asked him, I'm like, man, is this all you got, the video? And he said, yeah. So I put the guy to sleep, and I made sure he was out too. I made sure he was out. And then when he was out, I dismounted from his back, and then I turned him over, and I put him in full mount so I could be like more aware of like my surroundings, you know, because there's like people trying to grab me and like pull me off and I just like kept both of his wrists pinned to his chest so I could be more aware of my surroundings. I was like looking around me and then just waiting for the cops to come, man, because I knew the girl was in the process of calling him, and I kept asking everybody, like, please call the cops. Somebody please call the cops. And they kept saying, you know, that the police are on the way. The police are on the way.
What happened after the cops showed up?
When they showed up, I was still mounted on like full mount. And they're like, sir, we need you to step back so we can take control. And I'm like, you want me to put his arms behind his back? And I started to put his arms behind his back, and like with like no problem. And they like made me kind of like step away. They're like, okay, we got to kind of take control of the situation from here. But then there was a bunch of them, man. I don't know if there was like 6, 10 of them or something. They were trying to subdue them, and they were struggling. They were like falling all over each other. It was kind of sad, man, to be honest with you, because it's like reminds me of like, you know, the policing in the United States. Like there's a big push towards like trying to get these guys trained, and like not many police officers take advantage of it. They just don't take the time to learn. That was kind of sad in that respect, but the police were extremely nice and thankful. You know, as soon as they showed up, like that guy was resisting all the cops too. He was still like belligerent, fighting them. So they knew immediately like that guy was up, man. And I sat with them, did interviews with them for what seemed like maybe an hour. I gave them the video that I took of that guy chasing after me before the incident before the incident occurred in the coffee shop. I gave them the video that the guy took in the coffee shop, and I believe they were able to actually see the CCTV footage. People in the coffee shop said they've never seen anything like that happen, you know. But then, you know, walking through the streets and then talking to like the average citizen, they told me they see it all the time, because it's the area I walk through is all meth heads, and methamphetamine there, I guess, is a huge freaking problem, man.
What is the guy saying under you? Did you catch anything that he said?
You know, I did not. I played the video back a bunch to try to figure out what he was saying, but I was too worried about talking to the camera and focused on talking to the camera that I was actually trying to talk louder than him, and he was talking very loud so that my voice could be heard on the camera for my own sake. So I wasn't too focused on what he was saying, and to be honest with you, nothing he was saying was making any sense anyway. It was like rambling on about nonsense. If you play the video back, I do remember saying, like, one of the first things I say, this man attacked me. And he says, yes, I attacked you because, and I'm like, and I couldn't hear anything else after that. So he did admit to like attacking me.
It seems like you were trying to avoid this guy for a while. How far do you think you went to try to avoid him?
Good question. A lot of people ask me that, and it seemed like forever, man. I would have to say, like, from where it first started to where it finished in the coffee shop, I'll bet you it was somewhere between 3/4 of a mile to a mile, I want to say. That's kind of like an educated guess right now at the point. Maybe like 3/4 of a mile.
One thing people have asked a lot, they were like, yo, you got to make a shirt of him saying, I'm a Jiu-Jitsu black belt, get away from me.
Man, everybody keeps telling me I need to make a shirt. I might have to.
It's so good. You have to. Like I'm a
BJJ black belt. Leave me alone.
It's so good. There's this random dude in a white shirt that just kind of walks up, but he clearly has absolutely no clue what he's doing in terms of altercations. And he's just like randomly grabbing things and letting them go.
At one point, I'm watching a video. I'm like, man, I think this guy actually just like tipped me onto like, helped me take this guy's back. The way he tipped me over a little bit. So the very next day, I received an email from the police. Basically said that his actions were the result of like a mental health episode, and he was referred to a mental health team, and they hope that he gets the help that he needs.
What are your thoughts to people who say that jiu-jitsu doesn't work on the street? Because there were people who were saying, well, you know, if he had a buddy, he would have gotten messed up.
These what if people drive me up a wall, man. They're like, what if there was more than 2 people? What if there was multiple attackers? Well, there wasn't, you know, there was one. So that's what I did. I dealt with it the way I did. If there are multiple attackers, what the hell am I going to do? Even as trained as I am, taking on multiple people, I don't think there's not a whole lot of martial arts is going to help you, period. Even if the guy has a knife, you know, what the hell is any martial art going to be good at? That's why I was running the other way in the first place. And in my opinion, it's probably the best form of self-defense. Run, man. You know what I mean? Someone's got a knife. I'm not standing and punching or kicking. I had a lot of people tell me that. They're like, man, why don't you just knock them out? Well, first of all, I'm not hitting anybody. I'm not causing any damage to anybody's face or body if I don't have to. I'm in another country, man. If I kick somebody in the face and like kill them or something, then what? You know what I mean? I'm not going to jail today. I'm here to eat some good food and compete in the jiu-jitsu tournament. I'm trying to go home.
Did they give you free coffee?
They did.
Oh,
they did. You know, offered me free coffee, free food. I'm like, look, man, I'll fucking buy it. I don't care. You don't have to give me anything for free. But then she ended up bringing me out a cup of coffee anyway. Really nice coffee shop. But super thankful for those people, man, because they were the only people that listened to me. The one girl specifically, she listened to me. She called for the police. She was probably the 20th person I asked, man. It was wild, dude. Really crazy.
Anything you want to plug, anything you want to say, any message you want to tell people, I say have at it. It's all yours.
Everybody should be trained in jiu-jitsu. You know what I mean? So if it's not jiu-jitsu, go train boxing, Muay Thai, something, man. Everybody needs something to defend themselves, because at the end of the day, like, look at me, I'm fucking running away from conflict. I'm a trained guy, and I had to fight, man. You know, I was given no choice. So you might be put in that situation too someday. People always think, dude, I think it's not going to be me, because everybody's like, man, nobody's going to with you the way you look. Turned out that I got attacked anyway. So you never know if it's going to be you or not. So, man, everybody needs to go train something.
And how can people find you? Where can they learn more information about you, your company, anything like that?
So my name of my gym is Bower House MMA, located in Frederick, Maryland. Frederick, Maryland is a small, beautiful city. It's like the second largest city in the state of Maryland, but small. The largest city would be Baltimore. So it's like 1 hour north drive of Washington, D.C., 1 hour west drive of Baltimore. We teach Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, no-gi Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, boxing, kickboxing. We have an amateur and professional MMA fight team. And, I've got a full, beautiful strength training facility tied to the mixed martial arts side, too. So it's 11,000 square foot, beautiful gym. It's probably quite possibly one of the biggest mixed martial arts gyms on the East Coast, man. We have close to probably 600 members now. You know, so fortunately it's given me the opportunity to travel the world and be an idiot, compete in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu everywhere. But, you know, so yeah, and then my Instagram, Bower House Grappling. My Instagram for my gym is Bower House MMA. Yeah, that's probably it.
This brings us to the question of the day, brought to you by X Marshall. Be sure to answer the question of the day in the comment sections below, so that way you could be entered for a chance to win a $100 gift voucher that could be used at xmarshall.com. And hey, let's say you don't win. That's okay. You could still use promo code McDojo10 to get 10% off of any of your purchases at xmarshall.com. Even though video cameras seem to be almost everywhere, including on every individual person who owns a cell phone, sometimes we don't actually get the good stuff we want to see on film. This particular story is probably one of the prime examples of that. We know that there's CCTV footage of the incident, but unfortunately we can't get access to it. So my question of the day to you is, have you ever witnessed something that you wish was caught on camera but unfortunately wasn't? It could be something that happened to you or something that happened to someone else, where you were involved in some way, shape, or form, witnessed or participated, but unfortunately it just didn't get recorded. Let me know your stories about what you wish was video recorded but wasn't in the comment sections below. As always, thank you all for the likes, comments, shares, subscriptions, memberships. Check out McDojoLife.com. Keep the martial arts legit.
Things just haven't been the same. Living strange since my baby joined that dojo. Joined a McDojo.